When you're living with debt, distress, and drama, is there any way to still experience settled joy? The Psalms of Ascent remind us that even in our dark days, it is possible. These Psalms were sung by the Jews on pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Listen to Psalm 126, 1 through 4. When the Lord brought back the captives to Zion, we were like men who dreamed. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. When it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy. Restore our fortunes, O Lord, like the streams in the Negev. These people, the Jews, had been taken captive and exiled for years in Babylon. Their hope was almost gone, but God remained actively at work, and He made it possible for them to go free and return to their homeland. It was a joyous occasion and is remembered with celebration. I grew up as a rather poor kid in the mountains of East Tennessee. I mostly wore hand-me-down clothes from my cousins or clothes that we had found at yard sales. And with no washer or dryer, my mom went to the local laundromat every week. We only heated with 2 rooms in the winter to save on the electric bill. Tough times got harder for me when I turned to drugs and alcohol as an outlet. Yet, God pursued me at every turn to give me hope. In life's difficulties, God is still always at work in the details. He's present, aware, softening hearts, teaching truth, offering joy, which is often easier to recognize as we reflect upon our lives. Look back at your toughest times. Do you recognize God's involvement? Maybe you heard a random sermon that spoke to your heart. There was probably a praying grandparent or a Christian friend. And maybe not having peace reminded you that there was something better. So, let's consider common but ineffective strategies for creating joy. One is to eliminate things from our lives that hurt. We get rid of pain by numbing the nerve endings in many different ways. Get rid of insecurity by eliminating any risk that's uncomfortable. And get rid of disappointments by distancing ourselves from relationships. Another strategy is adding new experiences to our lives. Pleasure and entertainment are high on the list for some, and for others, it's simple things like drinking coffee from your favorite mug, listening to music that makes you happy, or taking a walk in nature. The effects, though, are temporary. A few minutes, a few hours, or maybe a few days of satisfaction. But when we run out of money, time, or energy, the joy trickles away. We search for it in Zen, human potential, crystals, and manifestations, trying anything and everything to find peace of mind and peace of heart. But all this is just a cheap substitute for real joy. We cannot add experiences to our lives or eliminate experiences and make ourselves joyful. Joy cannot be created, purchased, or arranged. Which brings us to our key spiritual insight. Only God provides a deep, settled joy, and anyone who has experienced it would not trade it for all the pleasures in the world. God gives this spiritual benefit and every spiritual benefit through Christ. not because of anything that we have done, but because of His mercy. Now, we do experience events that are filled with sadness and pain. Christian joy is not an escape from sorrow. Listen on to 126, verse 5 and 6. Those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. He who goes out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with him. Pain and hardship come. But we also find joy in what is yet to come. Christians believe that no matter how bleak things look presently, something really good lies ahead. God will create for us a new, incredible world, and pain will be no more. Our final hope is hope in a painless future with God. We do follow the example of Jesus, looking to the joy of the future. Scripture says that Christ Himself endured a cross and thought nothing of its shame because of the joy He knew would follow His suffering. And He is now seated at the right hand of God's throne. So here's a practical thought. Joy rises up. It bubbles up to the surface when we express it. Scripture says, rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances. And one helpful way of doing this is by naming God's good gifts. Naming the good, the beautiful, and the true that He's doing in us and for us. So I encourage you, name the little things and the big things, the natural things and the eternal things. Write them in a journal. Tell a friend. Give thanks to God. True, settled joy is a spiritual benefit from God for citizens of heaven. We experienced it in the past. We are filled with it now. And there's still much more to come in the restoration of all things. And once you've experienced it, once you've experienced this joy, you will want it again.